Good evening and welcome to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku and these are the top stories. Uproar in court as Kanu refuses to submit to trial, calls Nigerian government lawyer terrorist. Former President Jonathan sends message to Fubara, Wike amid Rivers crisis. Obedience create Harmonization Committee ahead of 2027 elections. And United Kingdom calls out Nigerian government over £8.4 million embassy rent. Details now. The world news begins with detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, causing an uproar at the Federal High Court in Abuja today when he refused to submit himself for trial in the terrorism charges against him. The development eventually forced Justice Binta Fatima Tinyako to adjourn the trial to June 19 in order to calm the situation. Shouting on top of his voice, Kanu vowed he would not submit himself to trial, claiming that the Nigerian government has no powers under the constitution and international laws to file criminal charges against him. Shortly after, the judge declined his request for restoration of his revoked bail and removal from DSS custody. Kanu got up from the dock and contested the attempt by the federal government lawyer Adegboyega Awomolo to open the trial. Immediately, Awomolo announced that his witnesses were in court and ready to open trial. Kanu stood up and took over arguments from his lawyers led by Aloy Ejimako. He told the court to forget any trial, adding that he would not allow himself to be prosecuted unjustly and illegally. He cited several authorities from a document in his possession in the dock to support his objections to the trial. Let's take a listen to Nnamdi Kanu in court today.
I can never be tried in any court of law in Nigeria. That's what the law says. Anybody standing in trial or coming to try me is a terrorist. That's what their law says. Not me. As simple as that. Section 2, subsection 3F of Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. That's what it says. Can never be tried in any court of law in Nigeria. That's what the law says. Anybody standing in trial or coming to try me is a terrorist. That's what their law says. As simple as not me. As simple as that. Section 2, subsection 3F of Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. That's what it says. Any court considered to try me is committed an act of terrorism. Yes. Very clear. You cannot violate a treaty that Nigeria entered into and then come to try that very person is not done anywhere in the world. So you must be aware of that. So that is why there is all these ridiculous delays. That is what Supreme Court said. I did not jump bail. My home was invaded. They came to kill me and I survived. They came to Kenya to kidnap me, brought me back to this country and seeking to try me, which the law says cannot happen. You cannot violate a treaty that Nigeria entered into and then hope to stand on that illegality to conduct a trial is not done anywhere in the world. I don't have in my case. Nobody has, there's no exception. No exception whatsoever. That's what the law says. Section 12 of the Constitution, what does it say? Any treaty ratified by Nigeria becomes law. It's law. You cannot change it. It doesn't matter what they do. All this shenanigans is just pure rubbish. You never stand. Not with me. I believe in justice and fairness. That's all.
Nigeria signed to standard, not constitution.
That was Nnamdi Kanu in court earlier today. However, when the government lawyer interjected that a defendant was not permitted to talk the way Kanu was doing, the Biafra agitator became angrier and more descended heavily on the senior lawyer, calling him a terrorist in the open court. Attempts by Justice Inyako to calm him down were rebuffed as he repeatedly shouted on the government lawyer, calling him a terrorist and a dishonest man. Kanu said, and quote, "As current chairman of body of benchers, you are supposed to know the constitution and uphold it," Kanu said, referring to Awomolo. Apparently unhappy with Kanu's outburst, Awomolo told Justice Inyako that such habit is expected. Now, in a bid to save the situation, the court agreed to a request by Kanu's lawyer for an adjournment to enable the legal team consult with him in a clean room where there should be no eavesdropping. Justice Inyako subsequently fixed June 19 and 21 for commencement of trial. Reacting, however, to this, his defense lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, addressed the press after the court session today. Let's take a listen to him.
In point of fact, she denied 2 applications. One is to restore his bail, and the other one is an alternative application. If you won't restore his bail, then transfer him to home detention. These 2 applications were geared towards providing the environment for him to get a fair trial. Unfortunately, the court was not in sync with us. But it's very, very important to stress this point, that what got us this far, what led to all these problems, is the refusal of the court to obey or implement, for want of a better word, to implement the ruling of the Supreme Court that Nnamdi Kanu never jumped bail, that he was driven into exile by the actions of the prosecution, and therefore the ruling by the court that a jumped bail shouldn't have been made. So, ordinarily, we expected that this court would have just followed suit by restoring his bail, but it didn't happen. So now the court that's not what the Supreme Court said. So we're going to look at that. We're going to go home as a legal team and ruminate over this and come out with a legal response to this anomaly. The court made some order that he felt is in our favor, but really it's not in our favor. He made modifications in the conditions of the detention at the DSS. If you recall, they used to take documents from us. They used to listen in because they bugged the place and everything. She made an order that the room should be changed and all that. But I think this is pyrrhic, and that we should take note. This is pyrrhic. It's not enough to guarantee that Nnamdi Kanu will get a fair trial. So in the next few weeks or days or whatever, before the next adjourned date, you will hear from the legal team as to our next course of action. My other colleagues would like to say a few words as well. Thank you.
Okay, we had another kind of ruling today, which the ordinary person on the street might think that a favor had been done to us, but it's still the same thing. It's just the other side of the coin that was tossed. We are still going to remain in the premises and facilities of the DSS. You know, this issue of bugging is a very critical and technical thing. And we know that the Nigerian DSS is about the most sophisticated secret police in the whole of Africa. And they have a lot of equipment. The walls, inside the bricks of their building has chips, microphones, cameras, inside the walls of their building. So there is no how the court has made it that they should give us a clean room. Who determines the cleanness of the room? Who determines the positions of the box? So the thing, provided it's still inside the DSS premises, it's still there. Those boxes will always be there. These things have been built long before now. You know, these are structures and boxes that have been planted many years. They can't break the walls of the houses, of their rooms, to remove those boxes. Now let me tell us something. Recently, they moved us to the office of the assistant director that they call ADOS. Now, in that place, it's somebody's office, all manner of equipment. There are so many things. So how do you even determine that the place does not have a bug? A room filled with property, chairs, television, gadgets, cameras. How do you determine what is functioning and what is not functioning? So it's like giving us a banana with one hand and then collecting it with the other hand. So there is nothing new, nothing has changed. Provided you are in the premises of the State Security Service of Nigeria, nothing has changed. A place where you can say it's not bugged is the Nigerian prison. You can be sure that in the Nigerian prison nothing is bugged. And now the witnesses that they are going to bring are those who are working in the DSS. So those witnesses will sit in the other room and listen to our questioning and answer session with our clients. Then at the end of the day, when you now bring the witness to court, they already know what we are going to ask. They already know the answers to everything. So we want, you see, justice should not only be done, but should be seen to be done.
That was Nnamdi Kanu's legal team addressing the press immediately after the court session. I'm sure you heard him give an explanation as to one of the reasons why they want Nnamdi Kanu to be extricated from DSS custody and moved to Kuje prison or be placed under house arrest. Now, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has implored Governor Similai Fubara of Rivers State and his predecessor, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, to cease escalating political tensions in Rivers. VOP News gathered that Jonathan and his entourage landed at Port Harcourt International Airport around 11 a.m. today to inaugurate a road construction project, a legacy initiative aimed at connecting the city with several coastal Ijaw communities in the state. Given the ongoing political crisis, some observers saw the invitation as a strategic move by Fubara and his team to cement their allegiance with fresh allies. Jonathan, speaking at the inauguration of the 222.1 billion naira Trans-Calabar construction, emphasized the necessity for Fubara and Wike to collaborate in propelling the progress and prosperity of Rivers State. He noted that the political tension in the state was excessive, but emphasized that the crisis would not contribute to the development of Rivers. Let's take a listen to him.
Because the political tension in the state is coming too much. Transition in Nigeria is becoming a problem. At the center, presidents have been taken over from presidents. There are always issues, but at least it's better managed. But at the state level, it's becoming noisy in so many states. And I feel that is not the best. Outgoing governors and incoming governors must know that they work together for the collective interests of the citizens of the state. And that is critical because you must work together. In this case of Rivers State, Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Sim Fubara must work together for developing the land and the people of Rivers State. The tension will not help us. Rivers State is very critical in this country. Rivers State is the heart of the Niger Delta. If Rivers State is destabilized, the whole Niger Delta will be destabilized. And it will not end within the Niger Delta alone, because I'm from this part of the country and I know how the system works. And we wouldn't want any crisis in Rivers State. Leaders must know that nobody takes 100%. You must learn the principle of give and take. So our own political actors must work together if you love the Rivers people. You must work together if you love the Rivers people. And I join the leaders of Rivers State and the well-meaning Nigerians that have been calling for truce. They have been calling for ceasefire to also re-emphasize that there is a need for ceasefire. Let us do things that will rather project the state. There is this common saying that when two elephants are fighting, the grass suffers. Both the governor and our minister are young people, very young people, but they are powerful. And if they continue to fight, the Rivers people will suffer. And we wouldn't want the Rivers people to suffer. So we are calling on them. We are calling on them to embrace themselves. One hand does not clap. You take two hands to clap.
You just listened to former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in Rivers today, commiserating for peace and reconciliation between Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, and Governor Sim Fubara, the Harmonization committee, as part of their strategy to see and reconciliation among citizens. The committee was officially launched over the weekend in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria, and will include representatives from all 6 geopolitical zones across the country. This ensures a broad national reach and influence. The committee comprises members from diverse backgrounds and regions, offering a wide array of perspectives and experiences. The chairman of the committee, Comrade Joseph Nnamdi, stressed the vital nature of its mission, emphasizing that Nigeria has been deeply affected by the failures of leadership in both the past and present. He acknowledged the delicate nature of the committee's task and its potential to influence the nation's future significantly. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment where I'll be joined by Are Oladotun Hassan. He is a political and national affairs commentator, also the NBA Secretary, Ekwe Branch. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Ara Latoto Hassan, good evening and thank you for joining us on the World News at 6 this evening.
Yes, good evening. It's a pleasure to be on your program.
Thank you. All right, today, I'm sure you must have followed up with the news. Nnamdi Kanu this evening vituperated in court. And according to Nnamdi Kanu, he categorically stated that the government has no right to place him on trial. He referred to the government's lawyer as a terrorist. He said it is unconstitutional for the trial he's going through. Also, his defense has been asking for him to be taken to either Kuje prison or be placed under house arrest so they can strategically plan how they would defend themselves in court, because they say that there are bugs, television cameras, all that in the halls, or rather within the walls in the DSS custody. And according to one of the lawyers, that the witnesses that the court or the prosecutor was to present today are witnesses from the DSS, and these witnesses peradventure have listened to the conversation they have had within the DSS custody, and they are very sure that that is what they're going to use as a counter mechanism against Nnamdi Kanu. What's your take on Nnamdi Kanu's expression today in court?
Well, in order to not to prejudice the court in any way, we have to consider the genesis of the case itself.
Okay.
There was a matter that Nnamdi Kanu was charged around 2015, whereby he was granted bail after spending 8 months in custody on the grounds of health.
All right.
And the bail was considered by Justice Iyako. And aftermath of that, he escaped out of the country. Though there was an attack of the military during that same period, but he was facing trial after the period. He jumped bail and he was extraordinarily transferred from Kenya to Nigeria. And in the process, there was a forfeiture of the 100 million naira that was served as a bail bond as a result of him jumping bail, meaning there was already a pecuniary loss as regards his malfeasance conduct. But be that as it may, he was undergoing a terrorism charges, and we cannot preempt the outcome of the case. But there were a lot of veracity of evidence that linked him to those actions as at those periods, even as at when he was still in prison, not until when he resigned on a statement and trying to caution all the ESM members to stay off all their criminalities and actions of terrorism. These are issues that we all need to consider before we frame ignorance of either is coming up with an appeal for bail. If his appeal for bail is rejected, the court has a good ground of rejecting, because you cannot jump bail and still come back to request for bail again. No court will grant you that. That's why
according to Nnamdi Kanu, you heard him in court. He said that if he had not left, he had not escaped, he would have been killed, that they killed his father. That is what he said. You heard him. He wrote, when Awomalo decided to present a witness in court today, Nnamdi Kanu stood up to defend himself. In fact, he picked the documents from his lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, to defend himself. And he said that he would not allow himself to be tried. According to him, if he had not escaped, he would have been dead by now. That was what he vituperated. So he said he tried to protect himself.
What Nnamdi Kanu did in court is a contempt in the face of the court. Because you cannot challenge the jurisdiction of the court as an accused person. Standing yourself and challenging the court and telling the government lawyer, the prosecutor, that they are terrorists, that on its own is even an added is another charges to his charge. The court on his own, Kansumoto, add to his own to his charges because he's committing further crime while he's still here to save himself of the one he's being charged for. So Nnamdi Kanu should learn to apply decorum. There is difference between gangsterism and activism. You cannot equate what Nnamdi Kanu committed to be likened to a Father Christmas carol. There were a lot of havocs that were committed during his whole reign of terrorism. We cannot begin to list those things. I'm coming.
He's speaking from an emotional perspective. That's what I want to say.
There are no emotions. There are no emotions when you look at the death of Dora Aquili's husband. Where lies those emotions? Where lies those emotions when he was saying go and bomb the entire Lagos state during the EndSARS struggle? Where lies those emotions when he was leading them to go and kill policemen and military men in uniform? Where lies those emotions? We cannot lace ourselves with sentiment. The law is very clear. It should be ready to face the wrath of the law. But my own issue is the fact that it should be granted free legal rights. It should not be, as a state, if is claiming that he's not comfortable in DSS custody, he has right to be put in a normal prison yard. That is his custody. That is his legal custody by law. Because the DSS is the investigative agency. It's just like the police investigating you, and they now ask the same police to still keep you in their custody. There is no way you can always get that free, fair treatment. You always be begging for water. You'll be begging for you to see your lawyer. You'll be begging to see your guest and every other thing. But if he's in the prison, there are rules of engagement. Naturally, by those rules of engagement, you are entitled to see your suspect in prison custody. You're entitled to give him food, medical attention, anything that there are laws that guide prison custody naturally by right. So he's entitled to be granted prison right of custody. But I don't think house arrest is entitled to that because we are talking about criminal capital offense.
So are we, because of time, are we saying that Nnamdi Kanu overreacted in court today, and that according to you, that could be contempt of court with the way he expressed himself at the court?
Yes, it's a contempt of court in the face of the court.
But would you consider the fact that this man has been in DSS custody, asking to have access to proper medical health care, asking to be taken to Kuje prison, and that all be placed under house arrest? Wouldn't you pardon the emotional outburst today, considering the fact that he felt that the court will be able to grant his request of bail because now the case has been extended to June 19?
Nemesis, when Nemesis caught up with you, it will be as if the whole earth is against you. And that is a natural law of nature. But for me, one cardinal objective, and I'm very hard on it, DSS has no further right to continue to keep him in their custody because they are the prosecuting agency.
Hello, Ara. Hello? Ara, can you hear me? Oh. Hello. Okay, go ahead.
So, an appeal. He's entitled to an appeal. Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, he's entitled to an appeal as regards his maybe Justice Nyako's order.
All right.
But why that is still subsisting? Let him hit the umpire and follow up with the case justiciably. There are factors of him to follow up with the trial.
Okay. In this particular situation, as Nnamdi Kanu has been crying over and all that has been going on, where would you ask the president to come in here? Like what with Sunday Igboho? Do you think that if the president is able to interfere or intercede, maybe there could be a resolution that will be found? Because that's what a lot of people are asking. Possibly, maybe the crime that is being looked for in the southeast will be met. Is it possible for the president to intervene? Is it deliberate that he's still being kept in the DSS custody? This extension, do you think it's pre-planned somehow?
Well, the president has the right and powers to grant pardon or to apply for normally prosecute through the Attorney General of the Federation.
Okay.
That is to the discretion of Mr. President. But these are not matters of ethnic issues, because that of Sunday Igboho was a matter outside the jurisdiction of Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a matter within the Benin Republic law.
Yes.
And he was charged and discharged under the Benin Republic law. He has not yet been charged under the laws of this country. And as a date, so, and nobody is above the law, even if it is Igboho that.
Hello, Ara, I can hear you. Hello. Okay, we seem to be having. Okay, go ahead.
He's
please.
entitled.
Hello. All right, we seem to be having a network situation right here. Ara Ladoto Hassan. Hello.
Yeah, hello, ma.
We're having a connection issue.
Are you with me?
All right, go ahead.
Yes.
Conclude as fast as possible.
Yeah. So it is not about emotional interest there, and we are not sarcastic about it. The rule of law must be maintained absolutely, and it might be so injurious to the offender now, but let there be proper approach in dealing with the matter, so that people don't begin to read emotions into it, or they are using it to fight the individuals. No, for the fact that Mr. President is a Yoruba man, he can, on his own volition, apply that pardon. But it need not be a situation that somebody must threaten or make it look as if it's on the premise of an ethnic issue. It has nothing to do with that. What we should be looking at is the fact that during the course of this trial, let the child follow the due course of enabling through justice, equitable justice and right for Nnamdi Kanu, because justice is for both the offender, the states, and the affected victim. So, in as much as everybody needs to be guided, Nnamdi Kanu should please douse down his emotion, let him consider his lawyer, talk to his lawyer, then let the DSS at this period, if he's complaining about his health deterioration, in as much as the judge has ordered that he should be allowed free access to his medical doctor
we've actually
at
run
every
out
point
of
in
time.
time. So I believe he should be granted all those rights within the custody and confines of the law.
Thank you so much, Ara Ladoto Hassan, for taking your time to share your perspective on some of the questions posed at you. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thank you very much.
All right. And just before we go, the UK Transport for London has asked the Nigerian government, included in a list of stubborn minority debtors, to pay up its embassy congestion charge, which now stands at £8.4 million and has been unpaid for about 20 years. Nigeria, owing £8 million, ranked fourth among the UK's 48 foreign debtors who have shirked embassy rent since 2003. The American embassy ranked first in the list of debtors, owing nearly £15 million, followed by Japan and the High Commission for India. They clarified that the embassy congestion charge was payment for service, not tax, which makes it applicable to diplomats. The congestion charge, according to TFL, is a charge for a service and not a tax, adding that diplomats are not exempted from paying it. The UK government said it was pushing to escalate the matter to the International Court of Justice to ensure offending nations get penalized should they refuse to pay. The call-out was reminiscent of Nigeria's FCT Minister Nyesom Wike's appeal, who in February asked the British High Commission and other foreign embassies to pay up their ground rent or risk revocation of license. According to Wike, the British High Commission owed the Nigerian government $1,000. And now to wrap up the world news at 6, here again are the top stories. Uproar in court as Kanu refuses to submit to trial, calls Nigerian government lawyer terrorist. Former President Jonathan sends message to Fubara, Wike amid Rivers crisis. Obedience create Harmonization Committee ahead of 2027 elections. United Kingdom calls at Nigerian government over £8.4 million embassy rent. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for listening.